Ethan Hargrove wiped the sweat from his brow as he finished securing the last of the mining equipment. The desolate planet, Vesta 9, had been his home for as long as he could remember. The son of a miner, Ethan had grown up in the dusty expanse, far from the bustling hubs of human civilization. His life was a repetitive cycle of labor, dust, and isolation, broken only by the occasional visit to the nearest settlement, which was a full day's journey away. The monotony of his daily routine was shattered one afternoon when a deafening roar tore through the sky. Ethan looked up to see a fiery streak hurtling towards the horizon, trailing smoke and debris. His heart raced as the ground trembled beneath him, the sound of the crash echoing through the barren landscape like an ancient beast awakening from slumber. He dropped his tools and sprinted towards the source of the explosion, his boots kicking up clouds of dust with each stride. The trail of smoke led him to a ravine on the outskirts of the mining field. As he peered over the edge, he saw the twisted remains of an alien vessel, half buried in the rocky ground, its hull still smoldering. Ethan carefully descended into the ravine, the heat from the wreckage searing his skin. He moved cautiously, aware of the potential danger, but driven by an unexplainable urgency. Among the debris, he spotted movement, a faint flickering light. Pushing aside a chunk of twisted metal, he found her, a girl, unconscious, with strange luminescent markings on her skin. Her delicate features and ethereal appearance were unlike anything he had ever seen. Her body was limp and battered, her breathing shallow. Without hesitation, Ethan lifted her into his arms, her weight almost negligible. He could feel the heat radiating from her wounds, her alien physiology both fascinating and alarming. Ignoring the questions racing through his mind, he focused on getting her back to safety. The journey back to his family's mining outpost was arduous. Ethan stumbled several times under the combined weight of the girl and his own fatigue. When he finally reached the outpost, his father Jonas and younger sister Clara rushed to his aid. Their eyes widened in shock at the sight of the unconscious alien girl. "We need to help her," Ethan said, his voice strained but resolute. Jonas, a rugged man with years of mining experience etched into his weathered face, nodded and directed Clara to prepare a makeshift bed. Jonas Hargrove, a veteran miner with a wealth of practical knowledge, immediately assessed the girl's condition. Despite their limited medical supplies, he quickly began administering first aid, using what little he had to stabilize her injuries. Clara, ever the inquisitive and resourceful one, searched through the girl's belongings and found a small device that emitted a soft, pulsating light. As Jonas tended to the girl's wounds, Ethan and Clara examined the device. It was unlike any technology they had seen before. Clara's nimble fingers managed to activate it, revealing a holographic interface that displayed alien symbols and diagrams. After several attempts, they discovered a basic translation function. Through the device, they learned her name was Lyra. The translation was crude, but it conveyed enough information for them to understand she was from a distant star system and had been on a reconnaissance mission. Her ship had malfunctioned, leading to the catastrophic crash that had brought her into their lives. Lyra's condition was critical, and her alien physiology presented numerous challenges. Her wounds bled a luminescent blue fluid, and her skin, covered in intricate markings, responded unpredictably to their attempts at treatment. Jonas, drawing on his experience with emergency first aid from years of mining accidents, improvised as best he could. Days passed in a blur of anxious care. Ethan and Clara took turns watching over Lyra, monitoring her vitals and ensuring she received the minimal nourishment they could provide. Slowly but surely, her condition began to improve. Her breathing steadied, and the strange markings on her skin began to glow softly, indicating some form of recovery. When Lyra finally awoke, she was disoriented and fearful. Her luminous eyes darted around the room, taking in the unfamiliar surroundings. Ethan approached her cautiously, using the translation device to communicate. The initial exchanges were halting and fragmented, but Clara's patience and persistence paid off. Lyra explained she was part of an exploratory mission, gathering data on uncharted territories when her ship encountered an anomaly. The malfunction had caused her crash landing on Vesta 9, a planet she had barely known existed. As they talked, Ethan felt an unexpected connection with Lyra. Her presence stirred something within him, a longing for adventure and purpose beyond the confines of his dusty home. Ethan approached her slowly, holding up the translation device. "You're safe here," he said, his voice gentle but firm. "My name is Ethan. Can you understand me?" Lyra's eyes flicked to the device and then to Ethan. She nodded slowly, trying to sit up, but wincing as pain shot through her body. Ethan moved to help her, but she waved him off, determined to regain her composure. She looked around, taking in the crude but functional setup of the outpost, and then back at Ethan, her expression a mix of curiosity and wariness. Ethan introduced her to his family. Jonas, with his grizzled demeanor, and Clara, whose bright eyes were filled with curiosity and kindness. The translation device proved invaluable as they began to communicate more effectively. Despite the language barrier, Lyra conveyed the urgency of her situation and the mission she had been on. As they talked, Lyra explained the intricacies of her reconnaissance mission. She belonged to a race known as the Valorians, who were part of a larger coalition of species united against a common enemy, the Zilthans. The Zilthans were a brutal, warlike race, bent on expanding their dominion through conquest and subjugation. Lyra's mission had been to gather intelligence on potential Zilthan movements in the sector. Her ship, however, had encountered an unexpected anomaly that caused a catastrophic systems failure. She had barely managed to initiate an emergency landing sequence before losing consciousness. She described the Zilthans in vivid detail, painting a picture of a relentless and highly organized foe. Despite their efforts, a sense of impending doom hung over them. Lyra's ship had emitted a distress signal before crashing, and it was only a matter of time before the Zilthans detected it. They knew they were ill-equipped to face an alien invasion, but they hoped they could at least buy enough time for Lyra to escape and warn her people. Their fears were confirmed when the first signs of the Zilthan presence appeared. Unusual readings on their rudimentary scanners indicated incoming ships. The sky, once a serene expanse of stars, now held the menacing silhouettes of Zilthan vessels descending upon Vesta 9. The Hargroves braced themselves, knowing they were vastly outnumbered and outgunned. The Zilthans struck swiftly and without mercy. Their ships unleashed a barrage of energy weapons, targeting the mining outpost with pinpoint precision. Explosions rocked the ground, sending plumes of dust and debris into the air. Ethan, Jonas, and Clara fought valiantly, using every weapon at their disposal to repel the invaders. Lyra, despite her injuries, joined the fray, her alien prowess proving invaluable in the chaos. In the midst of the battle, Lyra revealed a hidden feature of her damaged ship, an emergency cloaking device. If they could activate it, they might be able to shield the outpost from further detection, at least temporarily. With the Zilthans closing in, Ethan and Lyra made a desperate dash to the wreckage, braving enemy fire and collapsing structures. As they reached the ship, Lyra quickly accessed the control panel, her fingers flying over the alien interface. Ethan covered her, using his makeshift rifle to hold off the advancing Zilthans. The device hummed to life, and within moments, the outpost was enveloped in a shimmering field of light. The Zilthan sensors were disrupted, and their attacks grew more erratic. Taking advantage of the confusion, Ethan and Lyra managed to slip away into the nearby caverns, a natural labyrinth that offered temporary refuge. Inside, they discovered remnants of an ancient civilization that once inhabited Vesta 9. The caverns were filled with strange, bioluminescent plants and archaic machinery that seemed to pulse with a life of its own. Ethan and Lyra explored deeper into the underground city, finding clues about its former inhabitants. The walls were adorned with intricate carvings depicting scenes of daily life, conflict, and eventual decline. They stumbled upon a central chamber where a large, dormant machine sat at the heart of the city. Lyra recognized it as Etherian technology, renowned for its advancements in energy and weaponry. Within hours, a massive Zilthan ship appeared on the horizon, responding to the unintended call for aid. The miners' outpost, now cloaked by Lyra's emergency device, was hidden from their immediate sensors, but it was only a matter of time before the Zilthans would conduct a thorough search. The outpost was plunged into a frenzy of activity. Jonas and Clara worked tirelessly to reinforce their defenses, while Ethan and Lyra devised a plan to repel the impending attack. Their small mining community, previously focused solely on survival and resource extraction, now found itself preparing for a full-scale alien assault. The Zilthans commenced their search, deploying reconnaissance drones to sweep the area. Ethan and Lyra, using the Etherean technology they had discovered in the underground city, managed to intercept and disrupt the drone's signals. Despite their efforts, a few drones detected the outpost's faint energy signatures, and the Zilthans moved in to investigate. The initial skirmish was brutal. Zilthan soldiers, heavily armed and relentless, descended upon the outpost. The miners, armed with repurposed mining equipment and the few Etherean weapons they had managed to activate, fought back with surprising ferocity. Clara, her determination as sharp as her aim, coordinated the miners' efforts, turning their rudimentary defenses into a formidable blockade. As the battle raged, Ethan and Lyra knew they needed more than brute force to drive off the Zilthans. They retreated to the underground city, hoping to unlock more of its secrets. Their exploration led them to a hidden chamber, filled with ancient control panels and holographic displays. Lyra, her knowledge of alien technology proving invaluable, deciphered the controls and activated a series of defense mechanisms. Energy shields and automated turrets sprang to life, providing a much-needed boost to their defenses. The Etherean technology, dormant for millennia, now roared back into action, transforming the underground city into a bastion of resistance. The caverns led them to an underground city, long abandoned, but still humming with latent energy. The bioluminescent plants illuminated their path as they ventured deeper into the subterranean maze. Strange symbols adorned the walls, and dormant machines lined the corridors, their purpose a mystery to the untrained eye. Ethan and Lyra explored the labyrinthine tunnels, eventually arriving at a massive central chamber. At its heart was a colossal structure, a fusion of organic and mechanical elements that pulsed with a faint rhythmic light. Lyra identified it as an Etherean power core, capable of generating immense amounts of energy. Their discovery filled them with a renewed sense of hope. The power core could be the key to enhancing their defenses and repelling the Zilthans. However, activating it required intricate knowledge of Etherean technology, knowledge that Lyra only partially possessed. They would need to learn quickly if they were to survive the oncoming storm. Their immediate priority, however, was the defense of their outpost. Lyra focused on integrating the Etherean power core with their existing systems, aiming to activate the city's dormant defenses. Ethan, meanwhile, rallied the miners and organized search parties to scavenge for more components in the surrounding caverns. Despite the constant danger, a sense of camaraderie grew among the miners. They were no longer just workers extracting resources from the ground. They were defenders of their home, united by a common cause. Clara, ever resourceful, devised clever traps and strategies that bought them precious time. In the heart of the underground city, Lyra made a breakthrough. She managed to activate the central control system, bringing the full might of the Etherean defenses online. The entire underground complex hummed to life as ancient mechanisms whirred and clanked into action. Energy pulses coursed through the walls, illuminating the city with a vibrant glow. Automated turrets and defensive barriers deployed, creating a formidable line of defense against the Zilthans. With their newfound arsenal, Ethan and Lyra launched a counteroffensive. The Etherean technology allowed them to strike with precision and power, pushing back the Zilthan forces. Coordinated strikes from the automated turrets decimated the Zilthan ranks, while energy shields repelled their attacks. The Zilthans, unprepared for the sudden resurgence of resistance, were forced to regroup. Their initial advantage had been nullified by the unexpected activation of the underground city's defenses. The tide of battle began to turn in favor of the miners and their alien ally. Amid the data, they found references to a powerful weapon, known as the Celestial Lance, capable of destroying even the most formidable of enemies. The weapon, however, was hidden deep within the city's core, protected by a series of intricate puzzles and security measures. Ethan and Lyra embarked on a quest to unlock the secrets of the Celestial Lance. With Clara's help, they solved the puzzles and bypassed the security systems, each step bringing them closer to the weapon's location. The journey was fraught with peril, as the Zilthans intensified their efforts to break through the miners' defenses. The final challenge lay in a vast chamber at the heart of the underground city. There, they faced an ancient Etherian guardian, a formidable automaton designed to protect the celestial lance. The guardian, imbued with centuries-old technology and combat prowess, posed a significant threat. Ethan and Lyra fought side by side, combining their strengths and skills to overcome the guardian. The battle was intense, with energy blasts and mechanical limbs clashing in a dazzling display of power. Finally, they managed to disable the guardian, gaining access to the celestial lance. The weapon was a marvel of Etherian engineering, an elegant crystalline structure that glowed with a pulsating light. Lyra activated its core, synchronizing it with the underground city's power network. The celestial lance emitted a resonant hum, signaling its readiness for use. With the celestial lance in their possession, Ethan and Lyra returned to the surface, ready to deploy their ultimate weapon against the Zilthans. The miners, now seasoned fighters, prepared for the final stand, their spirits buoyed by the promise of victory. The destruction of their flagship demoralized the Zilthan forces, causing chaos and disarray. The miners, seizing the opportunity, launched a coordinated counterattack, driving the remaining Zilthans from Vesta 9. The invaders, now leaderless and outmatched, retreated, leaving the miners victorious. Gathering the miners in the central courtyard of the outpost, Ethan climbed onto a makeshift platform. The crowd, initially skeptical and weary, listened intently as he recounted their recent victories and the potential of the Etherian technology. His words resonated with the miners, who had endured years of hardship and isolation on the desolate planet. They saw in Ethan a leader who could guide them through this crisis. Lyra stepped forward, her presence lending credibility to Ethan's words. She spoke of the broader galactic conflict and the importance of their stand against the Zilthans. Her account of the Etherians' downfall and the power of their technology inspired the miners, igniting a spark of hope in their hearts. The miners, once divided and focused solely on their individual survival, began to unite under a common cause. They organized themselves into teams, each assigned specific tasks, fortifying defenses, scavenging for resources, and training in the use of Etherian weapons. Clara, with her sharp mind and innovative ideas, led the engineering team, devising new traps and defensive mechanisms to protect the outpost. Ethan and Lyra worked tirelessly, overseeing the preparations and providing guidance. The outpost transformed into a fortified bastion, with energy shields, automated turrets, and a network of surveillance drones. The miners adapted quickly, their years of experience in the harsh environment of Vesta 9 proving invaluable. The sense of camaraderie and purpose grew stronger with each passing day. The miners, now warriors, bonded over shared meals and stories of their lives before the Zilthan threat. Clara's ingenuity led to the creation of new defensive tactics, and Jonas's seasoned wisdom helped maintain morale during the toughest times. The calm before the storm was short-lived. The Zilthans, regrouped and reinforced, launched a full-scale assault on the outpost. Their ships darkened the sky, casting ominous shadows over the fortified settlement. The ground trembled as their forces advanced, a relentless tide of soldiers and war machines. The outpost's defenses sprang to life. Automated turrets whirred and fired, energy shields flickered into place, and traps set by Clara's team activated, slowing the Zilthan advance. The miners, armed with Etherian weapons, took their positions along the barricades, ready to defend their home. The initial clash was fierce. The Zilthans, heavily armed and disciplined, pushed against the miners' defenses with brutal force. Explosions rocked the outpost as energy weapons clashed, lighting up the sky with brilliant flashes. The miners fought valiantly, their resolve unshaken despite the overwhelming odds. Ethan and Lyra led from the front, coordinating the defense and boosting morale. Ethan's tactical acumen and Lyra's knowledge of Zilthan tactics proved invaluable as they repelled wave after wave of attacks. The Etherian technology, once dormant and forgotten, now played a crucial role in holding the line. As the battle raged, the outpost's defenses were put to the ultimate test. Zilthan shock troops breached the outer perimeter, engaging the miners in brutal hand-to-hand combat. Clara's traps slowed their advance, but the sheer numbers threatened to overwhelm the defenders. In the heat of battle, Jonas was gravely injured while protecting a group of miners from a Zilthan assault. Bleeding and weakened, he was carried to the medical tent, where Clara and a few others did their best to stabilize him. Despite his critical condition, Jonas urged Ethan to continue the fight, his voice filled with a mixture of pain and pride. Ethan, fueled by his father's words and the sight of his injured family, rallied the miners for a counteroffensive. They pushed back with renewed vigor, reclaiming lost ground and driving the Zilthans into disarray. The Etherian automated turrets and energy shields created a formidable barrier, forcing the Zilthans to retreat and regroup. In a daring move, Ethan and Lyra led a small team on a nighttime raid against the Zilthan command post. Under the cover of darkness, they infiltrated the enemy camp, targeting key installations and sabotaging their equipment. The raid created chaos among the Zilthans, buying the miners precious time to strengthen their defenses. The siege dragged on for days, each side sustaining heavy casualties. The miners, exhausted but unyielding, held their ground, refusing to let the Zilthans gain a foothold. Lyra's strategic insights and the miners' unbreakable spirit turned the tide of battle in their favor. Finally, the Zilthans, battered and demoralized, began to withdraw. Their retreat signaled a hard-fought victory for the miners, but at a great cost. The outpost, though still standing, bore the scars of battle, and the loss of comrades weighed heavily on their hearts. Jonas's death galvanized the miners, filling them with a renewed sense of determination and a burning desire for vengeance. They had lost a beloved leader and mentor, and his sacrifice ignited a fierce resolve to protect their home and each other. Ethan, though grieving deeply, stepped fully into the role of leader, driven by his father's final words. The outpost had been heavily damaged during the siege, but the miners worked tirelessly to rebuild and improve their defenses. Clara, now more focused and determined than ever, led the engineering team to integrate more Etherian technology into their fortifications. Lyra continued to share her knowledge, enhancing their strategic planning and combat techniques. As they prepared for the next wave of Zilthan attacks, Ethan and Lyra devised a bold plan. They knew that simply defending their outpost would not be enough. They needed to strike at the heart of the Zilthan operation on Vesta 9. This meant infiltrating the Zilthan command ship and disabling its main weapon systems. Under the cover of darkness, Ethan, Lyra, and a select group of miners embarked on a daring mission to infiltrate the Zilthan command ship. Using the Etherian cloaking device they had discovered earlier, they managed to approach the ship undetected. The ship loomed large and menacing, its sleek, black hull reflecting the faint starlight. Once inside, they navigated the narrow, labyrinthine corridors, avoiding patrols and surveillance systems. The ship's interior was a stark contrast to the rugged simplicity of the miners' outpost, sleek, sterile, and humming with alien technology. Lyra led the way, using her knowledge of Zilthan architecture to guide them to the central control room. As they reached the control room, they encountered Vorsk, the Zilthan commander. Vorsk was a formidable warrior, his presence exuding authority and menace. The ensuing battle was brutal and chaotic, with Ethan and his team fighting desperately to overcome Vorsk's superior strength and combat skills. Lyra, with her agility and quick thinking, managed to outmaneuver Vorsk, providing Ethan with the opening he needed to plant explosives in the ship's core. The explosion rocked the ship, sending shockwaves through its structure. Alarms blared, and the Zilthan crew scrambled in disarray. Ethan and his team fought their way back to their exit point, narrowly escaping as the command ship began to implode. They had succeeded in their mission, but at a great cost. Several of their comrades had fallen in the battle. As the miners and their allies drove the remaining Zilthans from Vesta 9, Ethan's earlier distress signal reached an unexpected recipient. A coalition of alien races united against the Zilthans. These races, having suffered under Zilthan tyranny, had formed a secret alliance to resist and fight back. The signal's arrival prompted the Coalition to dispatch reinforcements to Vesta 9. The Allied fleet arrived just as the miners were preparing for a final push to expel the Zilthans. The skies above Vesta 9 filled with an array of ships of various shapes and sizes, each bearing the distinct markings of its homeworld. The miners watched in awe as the Coalition fleet engaged the Zilthan forces, their advanced weaponry and tactics turning the tide of battle. Kara, a charismatic and experienced leader of the Coalition forces, emerged as a key figure in the new alliance. She was a tall, imposing figure with a presence that commanded respect. Her ship, the Starfire, became the flagship of the Allied fleet. Kara and her crew brought not only advanced technology, but also invaluable combat experience and strategic acumen. The Coalition's arrival revitalized the miners' spirits. They now had the support of a formidable force, and their chances of victory had increased significantly. Ethan and Lyra, along with Kara, coordinated a joint operation to liberate Vesta 9 from the remaining Zilthan occupation. The combined might of the miners and the Coalition forces overwhelmed the Zilthans. Coordinated strikes and surgical attacks dismantled the enemy's strongholds and supply lines. The Zilthans, realizing their defeat was imminent, began a hasty retreat, abandoning their positions and fleeing the planet. The liberation of Vesta 9 was a resounding success. Celebrations erupted across the planet as the miners and their allies savored their hard-earned victory. The Coalition's advanced medical teams tended to the wounded, and their engineers helped repair and enhance the outpost's infrastructure. Ethan and Lyra, now recognized as key leaders in the resistance against the Zilthans, were invited to join the Coalition's council. They accepted, knowing that the fight against the Zilthans was far from over. Their victory on Vesta 9 was just the beginning of a larger struggle that spanned the galaxy. Ethan proposed using the Etherian technology to create a new vessel. The idea was ambitious, but it was their best hope for escaping the impending danger. Clara and the engineering team eagerly took on the task, their minds racing with possibilities. The miners, now experienced in improvisation and innovation, threw themselves into the project with determination. As they worked, Kara and her Coalition engineers provided crucial assistance. They shared their advanced knowledge and resources, helping to accelerate the construction of the new ship. The collaboration between the miners and the Coalition highlighted the strength of their newfound alliance and the potential for even greater achievements. Days turned into weeks as the ship took shape. The miners dubbed it Vesta's Hope, a symbol of their resilience and the promise of a brighter future. The vessel was a marvel of engineering, blending the best of Etherian human and Coalition technology. It was equipped with advanced weapons, powerful shields, and a faster-than-light drive capable of reaching Lyra's home system. The day of departure arrived, filled with a mix of emotions. Ethan, Lyra, and a select group of miners and Coalition members prepared to embark on their journey. The remaining miners, led by Clara, gathered to bid them farewell. Clara, now a confident leader, promised to keep the outposts safe and continue the fight against any future Zilthan incursions. As Vesta's Hope ascended into the sky, Ethan looked back at Vesta 9, feeling a profound sense of pride and sadness. He was leaving behind the only home he had ever known, but he was also embarking on a journey that would define his future and the future of countless others. Vesta's Hope soared through the vast expanse of space, its crew a diverse mix of humans and Coalition members united by a common cause. Ethan and Lyra stood on the bridge, looking out at the stars. The ship's advanced navigation systems plotted a course to Lyra's home system, a journey that would take them through uncharted regions of the galaxy. As they traveled, Ethan and Lyra continued to learn from each other. Lyra taught Ethan about the complexities of interstellar navigation and the political landscape of the galaxy. Ethan shared stories of his life on Vesta 9, his experiences shaping his perspective and determination. Their bond deepened, forged by shared struggles and a mutual respect. The journey was not without challenges. They encountered space anomalies, pirate attacks, and remnants of Zilthan forces. Each encounter tested their resolve and the capabilities of their new ship. The crew, now a cohesive unit, worked together seamlessly to overcome these obstacles, their confidence growing with each success. During one particularly harrowing encounter with a pirate fleet, Vesta's Hope showcased its advanced weaponry and defensive systems. The battle was intense, but Ethan's leadership and Lyra's tactical expertise led them to victory. The crew's morale soared, knowing they had the strength and skills to face any threat. As they neared Lyra's home system, they received a distress signal from a nearby planet. The signal, encoded with a Coalition emergency code, indicated a Zilthan attack in progress. Without hesitation, Ethan and Lyra diverted their course to assist. Arriving at the besieged planet, they found a small Coalition outpost under heavy fire from Zilthan forces. Vesta's Hope entered the fray, its advanced weaponry cutting through the enemy ranks. The combined efforts of the crew and the outpost defenders repelled the Zilthans, securing another victory for the Coalition. The outpost commander, grateful for their timely intervention, provided valuable intelligence about the Zilthan movements in the sector. The information revealed that the Zilthans were planning a major offensive against Lyra's home system. The urgency of their mission intensified, knowing that their destination was under imminent threat. Pushing forward with renewed determination, Vesta's Hope finally arrived at Lyra's home system. The sight of her homeworld brought a mix of relief and anxiety to Lyra. She was finally home, but the looming Zilthan threat cast a shadow over her return. As they prepared to land, Lyra contacted her people, relaying the critical information about the impending Zilthan attack. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Her people, long prepared for such a moment, mobilized their defenses and welcomed Vesta's Hope as a beacon of hope and strength. Ethan and Lyra, now more than ever, understood the gravity of their mission. They had escaped Vesta 9 and survived numerous trials to reach this point. Their journey was far from over, but they had forged powerful alliances and proven that even the smallest of worlds could make a significant impact in the fight against tyranny. The days leading up to the Zilthan attack were filled with frantic activity. Coalition forces from various worlds arrived, each bringing unique strengths and technologies. The Coalition's base of operations on Lyra's homeworld transformed into a bustling hub of military preparation and strategic planning. Engineers worked around the clock to integrate the advanced Etherian technology from Vesta's Hope into the planetary defenses. Ethan and Lyra worked tirelessly, fostering a sense of unity among the diverse Coalition members. They held strategy sessions, coordinated training drills, and ensured that every soldier, engineer, and pilot was prepared for the battle ahead. The Coalition's advanced technology and diverse tactics gave them a fighting chance, but the threat of the Zilthans loomed large. One evening, as they reviewed tactical maps in the command center, Lyra received an urgent message. A reconnaissance team had detected a massive Zilthan fleet on the outskirts of the system. The fleet was larger and more formidable than they had anticipated, confirming their worst fears. The final confrontation was imminent. With the clock ticking, Ethan and Lyra addressed the Coalition forces. They spoke of the sacrifices made, the battles won, and the importance of the fight ahead. Their words inspired confidence and determination, galvanizing the Coalition forces for the battle to come. The Zilthan fleet arrived in a menacing formation, their warships casting ominous shadows over Lyra's homeworld. The Coalition's defense grid, now fully operational, sprang to life. Energy shields enveloped key installations, and defensive turrets tracked the incoming enemy vessels. The skies above the planet erupted into chaos as the two forces clashed. Ethan, stationed at the primary ground defense command, coordinated the efforts of the planetary defenses. Artillery units and ground troops responded with precision, targeting Zilthan landing craft and repelling waves of infantry. The battle on the ground was fierce, with explosions lighting up the night and the air filled with the sounds of conflict. Lyra, aboard Vesta's Hope, led the Coalition's fleet in a daring counteroffensive. The ship's advanced weapon systems and maneuverability gave them a critical edge. She directed hit-and-run tactics, striking the Zilthan fleet's weak points and drawing their fire away from the planet's surface. As the battle raged, Ethan received a distress call from one of the Coalition's key defensive outposts. The Zilthans had managed to breach the perimeter, and the outpost was on the verge of being overrun. Realizing the strategic importance of the outpost, Ethan gathered a strike team and launched a desperate mission to reinforce its defenders. The journey to the outpost was fraught with danger. Zilthan patrols and artillery fire threatened their every step, but Ethan's leadership and the courage of his team saw them through. Arriving at the outpost, they found it in dire straits. The defenders were holding on by a thread, their numbers dwindling under the relentless Zilthan assault. Ethan and his team fought their way through the Zilthan forces, reaching the command center of the outpost. There, they encountered the Zilthan commander leading the assault, a fearsome warrior named Dravak. The ensuing battle was brutal and intense, with Ethan and Dravak clashing in a deadly dance of blades and blasters. Despite the odds, Ethan managed to defeat Dravak, rallying the defenders and turning the tide of the battle. The outpost, though heavily damaged, held firm. The Zilthans, now leaderless and demoralized, began to retreat. In space, the battle reached its climax. Vesta's Hope, under Lyra's command, targeted the Zilthan flagship, a colossal vessel that coordinated the enemy fleet's movements. In a daring maneuver, Lyra led a squadron of coalition fighters in a direct assault on the flagship's command center. The battle was fierce, with ships weaving through a hail of enemy fire. Lyra and her squadron managed to breach the flagship's defenses, delivering a decisive blow to its core systems. The flagship erupted in a massive explosion, sending shockwaves through the Zilthan fleet. Disoriented and leaderless, the remaining Zilthan ships began a hasty retreat, abandoning their assault on Lyra's homeworld. The coalition forces, though battered and exhausted, emerged victorious. The battle had been won, but at a great cost. The ground was littered with the wreckage of ships and the bodies of fallen warriors. Ethan and Lyra, reunited on the surface, surveyed the aftermath with a mixture of relief and sorrow. Their victory had secured the immediate safety of Lyra's homeworld and dealt a significant blow to the Zilthan war machine. However, they knew that the fight against the Zilthans was far from over. The coalition, now more united and resolute than ever, prepared to take the fight to the Zilthans, determined to liberate other worlds and bring lasting peace to the galaxy.